Okay, Daniel, we're going to continue now to build our Monkey Head Hunter game, and we're going to need. We've got the cannon, and you've built some walls there to with near sensors to keep our cannon from going right off the screen. And now, what are we going to need so that we have something to shoot at here and something to
Okay.
shoot?
Right now we're just going to make a coconut object and a monkey head object.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into another layer because what's going to happen is we are going to add go back in the main scene. We're going to add another object which adds the coconuts from the gun, which shoots the coconuts and fires the monkey heads.
Okay, so you only need one model of a monkey head and one model
Right.
of a coconut, right? And then you're
Right.
gonna actually emit or create
Right.
on the fly copies of it, right?
Right.
Okay.
So to do that, we're going to go into another layer, and the monkey head is pretty much already made. I'm just going to add the default Suzanne monkey head. I'm going to say set smooth. I'm just going to add monkey.
Change the object name to monkey. Okay.
So that's our monkey object. And for the coconut, it's just going to be a simple UV sphere, 12 by 12. I'm going to set smooth and name that to coconut. Alright, so I'm going to just scale this down. And I'm going to go back to the main scene or main layer. I'm going to add an empty for the object which is going to shoot the coconuts.
You just lined up that cube there, right?
Right.
Just didn't have anything to do with what you're doing right now.
Right.
You just it was bothering you that it wasn't lined up with the other cube.
Right. Okay. So we're just going to stick the empty right in the center of the coconut gun muzzle. And we're going to go into the empties logic panel. We're going to add a keyboard sensor. We'll rename this to fire. And the key we're going to use for firing the coconut will be the space bar. We're going to add a controller, connect the sensor, add an actuator, and connect the controller. Then we're going to add an edit object actuator.
Okay.
And in the object field, we're going to add
Cocoa nut.
coconut.
Okay. And why did it bounce out there? Because it wasn't
misspelled it.
it wasn't spelled exactly right, and so it has to be exact. So just review that real quick before we move on.
Okay.
You added the empty and placed it right there at the top of the gun. So that's where the coconuts will be created, and eventually when we set it to fire out of, right?
Right.
And then so you created a some logic for that,
Okay.
and so take me through it here.
Okay, we have a keyboard sensor
Okay.
set up so it's activated when we press the space bar.
And you've named it fire just so it would be something you'd recognize,
Right.
right? Okay.
We have that connected to a controller, which is connected to an edit object actuator. And as you can see right here, we have a number of different options. End object, replace mesh, but in this case we're using the add object,
Okay.
which basically when this actuator is activated, it's going to add the object into that layer.
Okay.
So if we go into the game, press P, and hit the space bar, we can see our
It adds a coconut. Okay. So, that's good. Okay, we've accomplished the adding of a coconut.
Alright, so
Alright.
what we're going to want to do now, as you can see, it didn't go anywhere after we added it. So we're going to go into the coconut layer, select the coconut. We're going to add an always sensor.
Okay.
I'm just going to rename this to initiate.
Init, which is what? That's code speak for initiate.
Right. and connect to the controller, add an actuator, a motion actuator, connect the controller to the actuator. Alright, so
which way we're going to move? We want it to go up, right?
Right.
So
we go back into the main layer. We can see that up along the global axis is Z.
Okay.
So if we go back, we'll untoggle the local, so make sure we're going
global. Okay.
And we're just going to go along the positive Z axis.
Okay, because that third column is the Z column.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. So let's go back to the main layer, press P, and we're shooting our coconuts.
All right. Excellent. And every time you hit the space bar, a new coconut appears and fires. Excellent. Okay, so I mean, I'm going to state the obvious that coconut's kind of big.
Right. So all we have to do is just go back and resize our. Go into edit mode, resize our.
Now you went into edit mode. Is there a difference between resizing it in edit mode or as an object?
Yes, there is. If I scale the object.
So that worked.
That worked.
However, you think it's probably best to scale it in edit mode.
Right. When you're doing the game, okay, here, let me see. When you're doing the game, it's generally always better to keep the scale, the global object scale, at keep them all the same.
So you pressed the hotkey N to bring up a numeric panel, and we could see that the scale of what object do you have selected right now?
Yeah, that was
the scale of the cannon right now is 1, and let's highlight that over here. That's where the scale is. It's 1. So let's select the coconut and see. So since you just adjusted that, you got it down smaller. Okay, let's put it back at 1 over here. Okay. We can do link scale and then just change one value, and yeah, well, it came close. Yeah, that's kind of funny. Link scale, and it wasn't exactly linked, but that was close. It was a very slight decimal amount difference. So it's back to 1 unit now.
Okay.
But we'll go into edit mode and then scale it down in edit mode. Okay.
Go and
oh, that looks good.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna exit that. All right. Go back. As you can see, the coconuts are not firing as we with the gun.
Right, because they're coming from that empty. Okay.
Right. So we'll want to select the empty, select the coconut gun. And
all right, and use the shift key when you additively select. Okay. Parent, that's the control P. All right.
So now if we go back, we can move our coconut gun around, and the coconuts will be coming from the coconut gun.
Excellent.